Just as they hoped it was over, a crashing noise, like that of shattering glass, erupted in the living room. These roads are a pain to drive on, thought Mick, glad he had equipped the car's tires with chains. Mick and Nina always love the cold and the snow, but not when it is this thick. How far is it? It's getting hard to see, pointed out his wife, Nina, growing concerned at the big white clouds looming above. Just a bit more, it's worth it, I swear. No one's been to this place in ages. There's no house or town for miles. We will have our peace and quiet here, you know. There, I think I see it, he said, pointing further up the mountain, on the end of the path, cutting through the trees. The dirt road, long having stopped being made of asphalt, made it difficult to drive, and more so, to park. As they near the isolated wooden lodge, they got down the car and looked around. Is that normal? Nina is looking at some trees on the side of the road. The bare trees look like they were violently cut in half. Maybe it's the snowstorm, Mick said. Snowstorms don't have claws, Nina replied. Mick is now looking at a long claw-shaped gash on another tree. You're overthinking this, he replied. They entered the lodge, shaking the snow off his shoes as he closed the door behind. He sniffed the air loudly, lifting his head and closing his eyes. The smell of wood never gets old. He looked around, noticing the dust on the floors wasn't as bad as they anticipated. The couches by the fireplace, covered in plastic sheets, to avoid getting them dirty, looked fairly clean too. How about you put on some stew while I clean around? He asked his wife, feeling hungry already. Opening the closet in the bathroom, he quickly found what he was looking for. Taking up an old ragged broom, he closed the closet door, revealing the bathroom window behind it. There was movement outside. A shadow. Must have been my imagination, he thought, and went to clean the house. Smelling the veggies and meat boiling, he took a look in the kitchen. How's the stew? Mick asked, to get her attention. Well, it's still stewing. How's the cleaning? She asked back, with a bit of sass in her voice. Clean, I'd say, the man said, smiling, going back to his task while looking at the floor. The meal was nice, warming them up to the bone, and they enjoyed it while watching the snowfall right out the window. I wish the kids were here with us, she said, while sipping her soup. You know how it is. They're not kids anymore. They're all married. Kids grow up and they must leave the nest. Lowering his head as he took another sip. Something outside the window moved in the trees. What? Asked Nina, noticing the alert state of her husband. Thought I saw something. Anyway, a scratching sound. The sound of nails running over wood, like claws of a bear trying to rip the door away. After a bit, it stopped, leaving them puzzled. Just as they hoped it was over, a crashing noise, like that of shattering glass, erupted in the living room. Mick getting up, his adrenaline rushing like crazy. He took hold of a chair as he went to check what the ruckus was. Horrified by what he found, he saw it. Standing at over 7 feet high and crouching to fit under the ceiling, the hairy, naked thing had shapes closer to that of a monkey than to a human, despite the mostly naked skin. Hair jagged and irregular, coating the entire neckless head down to his shoulders. This dark-skinned simian was looking away as Mick entered the living room. He looked back at his wife, mouthing, "Run," to her, before moving sideways to try and get to the exit without alerting whatever this thing was. He gets his gun from the wall as his wife moved very slowly. This horrid thing had to turn his entire torso in order to face the man, forcing him at a weird angle. His enormous lips extended in an O expression of surprise. The two jet-black eyes were fixated on Mick as the creature held his hand out, pale blood bleeding out of it. He must have gotten cut while breaking through the glass. "Run, Nina! Run!" screamed Mick, lifting the chair towards the thing as his wife ran behind him as best as she could, opening the door and going outside. In a flash, the massive ape was running towards Mick. He grabs the chair and tries to put it between him and the creature. Mick was desperately trying to keep the chair in between him and the awful beast. He felt his feet sliding back on the floor as the thing pushed, the weight of the creature being too much for him to stop. He tossed the chair in the face of the ape, forcing it to dodge. He manages to get outside and lock the creature inside. In dismay, he looked at his scar, entirely covered in snow, unusable, as the noise of glass could be heard again from the other side of the property. They had no choice but to hide. Running to the forest, their legs sinking up to the knee at each step, they heard the heavy steps of something inching closer. As they rounded their way behind a tree, Mick tried to shoot it, but he missed. The awful creature getting closer, they caught their breath before running deeper in the forest. They managed to hide behind some bushes. Mick aims at the creature's head. It looked like a confused child wandering in the forest. "Don't, just let it go," Nina whispers. Mick shoots the creature on the head. It falls. The creature lies dying in the ground, its eyes slowly closing. But just before its last breath, the elderly couple stood up. They looked around, relieved. But then, the ground starts rumbling underneath them. The big stone started to move, revealing limbs coming from under them. This creature is so much bigger, towering over them. They stumbled right into their nest. The two held hands one last time. She kissed him and said, "Thank you for everything." As the giant rose up above them, raised a giant fist, and smashed the ground. Printed all over the newspapers were the faces of the elderly couple. No one ever found the lodge or their bodies. Their kids didn't even bother asking where they were going. And now, they will never know the truth about what happened that cold winter day.